Are you on the record?
Good morning and welcome to our April 21st meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Our first order is the Pledge of Allegiance. If we would all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everybody look at the agenda. I do have one thing to actually fix. So the market research at 2 o'clock, that was supposed to be held. We had one of the proposals come in without a price on it, and that was really our fault. There was a misunderstanding between two documents, and one of them said they needed to put a price on it, the other one didn't. So I've asked for that from both of the people that have put in their bids, so we will hold on that one.
Okay.
We can remove that at 2 o'clock. I would have a motion to approve with that amendment. Moved. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next up, did we all get a chance to read the meeting minutes?
Yes, I was.
Good.
Clerk Miller, no, I didn't have any changes.
I was good with it.
I didn't see any either. Motion to approve?
Big motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 14th, 2025.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we want a discussion on moving the commissioners' meetings to Wednesdays. I did talk with the other elected officials and everyone is fine with this. I think that there will need to be some movement of some other boards that we serve on, so just let people know that we're going to be changing that up.
Good. I'm good with it. I think it's awesome.
Reason for this, it's really hard when we get our packets on a Thursday to have everything done by the next Monday, and it's hard to work with people to put things in the documents or make any changes, and so we end up working almost every Sunday, and that's not really fair. So therefore, I think would be my reasoning to stand behind this, is that I think it will be easier for communication with everyone, easier to resolve issues on that agenda, and we will continue to get our packets the previous Thursday. That's not going to change. So everybody that's listening in the county, we still need everything on time. Our packets will go out on Thursday, but they will be for the following Wednesday. All right, let's go ahead then and set the meeting dates for July, August, and September. Now in July, we have already set a date with the Treasurer's Office for
I don't think we set the date, did we? Did we
did.
hold off?
No, that was the assessor's office. We already did this quite some time ago because the treasurer does need to notify upfront those that are in a property tax. What is it called? The word is coming in, not working.
Good morning, Commissioners. So the tax deed hearing has been previously scheduled for July 7th. We send out those notice of pending issued tax deed letters in March. And so I've already sent all of those out saying that the tax deed hearing would be July 7th.
Yes. Okay. No,
If we
that's-
could move them to Wednesdays after that date, I would appreciate it.
So that would mean then, Kirsten, if you want to take note, July 7th, July 16th, July 23rd, July 30th. That would be August 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. In September, let's see, it would be September 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. And actually in September, the IAC annual conference is the 15th, 16th, and 17th, so we will not have a meeting. We'll only have 3 that month.
So we'll just have it the
3rd, 10th,
3rd,
and 24th.
10th, and 24th. And go back to August 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th.
Yep.
We need a motion
They do,
or not?
yes.
I'll make a motion that we change the meeting minutes, or not the meeting minutes, the meeting, commissioners' meetings dates to Wednesdays, as we have set for July, August, and September.
Second.
25.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right. I think we probably should send out an email to everyone letting them know that, so I will go ahead and do up an email and send out to all of our staff and team. And, okay, Dan, are you doing the amendment for the Epstein Bridge? Sorry.
This is in regards to our Epstein Bridge. So like the final form that we have to sign off on to get the
You better
extension,
not say final.
the extension form approved. So the hope is that we can get this thing out to bid, still have it built, not this year, but the next following year because of the, we're gonna have to get a few things purchased, and it will take within a 6-8 month time period to get them purchased. So it won't be this season, it'll be next season.
I don't think I've seen a project take this long.
It's
Not getting nothing done yet.
Well, it's, so this is just a good reminder in terms of projects like this when it's federally funded. It does take a fair amount of time. Does take quite often, it takes a lot through the financial part of it, but also through the right-of-way, which that is what primarily took a long time to contact the property owners.
Yep.
To get that, so. So what we would need is a signature on this form for the chairman to sign. Elt signed the last one back in '21, so if we could get a signature on this one.
Make a motion that we have the chairman sign the amendment, the financial assistance award for the Epstein Bridge.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
sound like you're enjoying the hay fever season.
I got kind of something in there, I just don't know what it is yet.
Everybody downstairs going, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah,
Nose is running.
well, that happens often for me.
Want me to print my title and everything? Oh, I guess I did it on the wrong line. I better do it on the right line.
Stamp?
Oh. You just want to use a stamp.
My thumb's starting to hurt anymore. I might want one. Need to go to the doctor for something.
Hey, thank you.
This.
In your packet, I had written a reference letter for Clearwater Financial. They are applying for some other grants. Oh, are you done?
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. And you guys should have gotten that. Doug did improve it for me a bit, so I thank him for that. You guys have any problems with that letter?
What was it? I have to go back and find it again. What was it for?
A reference letter. They are applying for some Ada County work.
Oh, that's right.
They're using our reference
Yep.
letter.
I'm good with that. We need a
Paul,
motion
do you
for
have any
that.
problems?
No, but I haven't worked with them very much, so I would.
We need a motion to do that? I'll make a motion that we approve the reference letter for Clearwater Financial.
And moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have that on letterhead, Kirsten? You get that printed on letterhead and send it for my signature, and then I'll send it over to him. Thank you. Approve the sheriff's office vehicle purchase. Didn't we already do this?
No, they wouldn't have the
Talked about it.
forms.
Okay? Come up and,
Talking about? Come on over.
Come on over. So, yeah, it's just basically, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and on email, we were deciding whether we were gonna go forward or not, and I'm like, I don't think we got the go-ahead on it. So we wanted to make sure and have it memorialized one way or the other, what we're gonna do on this. It's for next year's, as you guys know, they had a $6,500 car, incentive, and that was gonna close mid-June, and then I don't know if it's I'm reading between the lines, I'm thinking tariffs and everything, they brought that back to May 1st, they're closing it, and then that $6,500 car is gone, so just saying if we wanna take advantage of that, or if we wanna, roll with the cars and hope for next year.
Is that for 3 more vehicles? Just like we normally talk?
Right, two more. We didn't need the third for next year, because we had a couple openings, so those cars weren't getting very high miles on them, so we don't need 3 next year, we only need 2.
2, cool.
So something else on this, can't remember if Kathy sent me this or it might have came from Stambaugh from his corporate Stellantis people. Pursuit rated Durangos are 60 to 90 days for delivery. Which really threw me in a whirlwind. It's like, I wasn't expecting these till probably after October.
well, because then it hits this year's budget, which you've already spent those funds.
We spent the funds on those 3 vehicles we got from Cascade Auto a few months ago. This was brought up in the CIP meeting last year of trying to get approval to order them ahead of time because we don't know what their order dates are. It's really hard to
Remember you talking about?
get in there. Normally, I mean, here we are, 1st of May, June, July, August, we probably would have been pretty close to October 1, but when I seen that email of 60 to 90 days for delivery for the pursuit rated vehicles, we don't have money in the budget.
That's,
So,
that's where we're at. If we wanna try to take advantage of it, we can try to take advantage of it. Wanna wait till next year, we wait till next year. That's kind of where we're at on it. We just saw the $6,500 a vehicle, that's significant.
huge.
And we kind of get it, we've been in this quandary for years that I can remember, because they only ramp up tooling, and I don't care if it's Dodge or Ford or who it is, but they're police vehicles. They ramp up tooling for a certain window of time, and then it's done. And if that doesn't, it usually does not fall within our window of budgeting. And that's just the way they do it, and when we saw this, we thought we'd bring it up if we can. Is the 90 days seem about right on delivery, or is it?
Let me just think through for a minute. So the $6,500 per car is in their window right now. If we wait, I mean, that could also be in the window next year, we have no idea. And then you would fall within your budget year. If we wait the 6 months, or, whatever it would be, are we at risk for the vehicles we have? We have to start spending the money that's in our budget with cars. I mean, it's just, this has been going on for 6 years I've been here. And it's, I understand your frustration because it's just going around and around, but it's hard for us to stay informed and up to date when we're buying cars here, there, and everywhere and not really understanding that. That was the reason for the CIP and the 3 cars a year.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. I just know that I feel like I've been a cat chasing a mouse since I was a lieutenant, because we're constantly dealing with these windows, and we're constantly behind, and then we have meetings, and we come up with ideas, but they're not memorialized, so then we wind up right back here again, because I know of at least twice that we've had meetings and this was decided on, and then we're right back at square one. And so I'd just like to get something to where we can start moving forward, and then, but right now, it feels sloppy at best to me.
So, Calvin, question for you. How do you, I mean, you know about this more than I do, by a long shot. How do we get ahead of the curve?
I think
What's the best way?
what was spoken last year, and I was not at the CIP, I believe, Johanna, do you want to speak to this? Because you were at the meeting. I was not at the meeting. Dave was.
So we talked about getting ahead of the curve last year, but we didn't actually do it. So my recommendation, if we don't purchase these two vehicles now, which if we do purchase them, we need to find a place in our existing budget for them to be funded out of. But if we don't purchase them in this fiscal year, I'm going to recommend that the sheriff's office request 5 vehicles in the CIP committee process for fiscal year '26, with the understanding that 2 of them would be purchased for that fiscal year, and the remaining 3 would be held over for if this window opens up again. Because we want to promote the fiscal responsibility of purchasing these vehicles at a discount when possible. We also have just come out of the COVID supply crunch where we needed vehicles and we needed them now, but the purchase windows were not opening up, and then the manufacture and delivery date was pushed out years. And so we're still suffering from that a little bit and trying to get ahead of the curve. So my recommendation from the CIP committee is that if we cannot find a place to purchase these 2 now, that we request 5 in the upcoming budget season.
Do you have any funding sources in mind where we could find it to go ahead and approve these 2 purchases this year?
Um,
Much are we talking?
what was that?
$82,000.
Yeah, how much are they a piece?
43, 41, 288, it's 82, 450.
My banker's got it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It's in front of you, dear. 82,456 on the higher bid, 79,904 on the lower.
For both of them. Yeah, so, this is outside of my wheelhouse, more, in the clerk's position, and unfortunately, he's not here today. So I think that there are some places, some ideas, it would be, non-traditional ideas of where they could be funded, so.
So historically, we've taken money out of PILT, but that PILT fund right now is low, and we're at our minimum. And especially with the other things that we have going on, I would not want to take it from PILT. I'd want to do it out of general fund, which is where all of the jail funds go. So the sheriff's department actually does fund a large portion of our general fund. So I would recommend that we take it out of general fund if we want to do this now. I think the thing that I'm thinking of is, so we're buying 2, which is almost in advance of this next budget cycle. And so putting 3 in the next budget cycle would be too many.
Following.
Yeah. So it's,
We're all, the way it lines up, the incentives never line up with our budget time. And like Johanna said, is we wound up under the COVID crunch before, and that's when we had to buy 6 or however many we were, because we couldn't get them, and then all of a sudden we found these on a lot and we got them.
but if you think budget-wise, so the 3 we bought last fall was in the 25 budget. We buy these 2, it's for the 26 budget.
6, and
So
then,
in your 26 budget, you should only have 1 more. That's the way I'm looking at it.
no,
So I'll clarify, so the 2 that we're looking at now really would be for next fiscal year, that's correct. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to take advantage of these rebate windows and the incentives, and those typically open up early in the spring. So what they would be doing is they would be pre-purchasing the 27 vehicles, which they need 3 in 27. Just trying to take advantage of those incentives.
So these 2 are essentially fiscal year 26 vehicles.
Correct.
And next year you plan to come the same time of year, no more October purchases if possible, for fiscal year 27.
right, as I said right now, I'm just bringing this up at this point because there's $6,500 on the table that's due to expire on the 1st of May. That's
right?
totally the commissioner's decision on how they want to deal with that. That's a large enough incentive that I figured that the commissioner will want to know that's available, and if they want to take advantage of it. We were slated for 3 cars a year. That's just kind of what we came up with years ago to keep our cars within a reasonable mileage, and just keeps an attrition going. And the way this is working right now is the way they tool them up just does not work with our budget year. October's just weird for a lot of things. The federal doesn't do it, and I have zero control on when they tool up to make police packages.
So these 6,500 per vehicle? Oh, per vehicle.
Does the
Yes.
sheriff's office have any funding that they could help to support this purchase since it's outside of our usual funding?
I'm gonna have to look at how much I've used on police cars in the recent. I do have a side, a budget that I have that was from Cascade. It's supposed to be used in Cascade stuff. So, and I'm not sure. I know I've used some, but I don't know how much I've used in Cascade vehicles.
The only concern I have is this year. I mean, I'm already being made aware of probably 3 new employees. And so it's gonna hit that funding crunch to be able to fund the whole budget. And so I'm just wondering, what is the exact need? Because as we move, we can do it right now and take general funds, but that takes a lot of that reserve away that we carry over. And so it's,
Maybe we need to get Doug here next week and discuss that, because you have to have it done by May 1st.
May 1st, yes.
correct?
Speak to the rebate.
Sure.
So the rebates. have
Kathy,
been
can you please
4,500
come up?
The rebates have been 4,500 for quite a while.
There's always a concession on government vehicles. Maybe during COVID, there might not have been. But there usually is always, we call them concessions, they're rebates. Up until about 6 weeks ago, it was 4,500. They weren't selling enough, so they moved it to 6,500. I don't think if you waited, you're gonna see the whole 6,500 go away. I know there's talk of tariff too, for 26. We're so all up in the air about that because we have no idea what's going on. We've already pushed it out for us, and it's not on vehicles right now. So I don't want you to think you're going to lose the whole 6,500. I could be completely wrong, and you could say to me next year, like, well, that was stupid. But I really think that you're going to see some concessions. But they upped it because they had too much inventory to want to build, to start the build-up that he's talking about. So they upped it. So whether that $2,000 a car is worth it to you guys or not, I don't know. But just to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's some good information.
Wow.
And like I said, this is just to let you guys know what's available. We all know that we need patrol cars to do our job, but do I need them today? I do not. So I just want to be upfront and honest with the commission and let them know that was out there, and I thought it was a good enough incentive to get it in front of you and decide if that's something we want to take advantage of to save some money or not. And so,
I think we need to have a discussion with Doug and,
Kristen, will you
next,
please get this on the agenda for next week as a follow-up?
And for the sheriff to come back and see if he has any funding sources available. I can see why you're wanting to catch up, and I would hope that in the future we can keep it this time of year so it is more consistent and we can plan for it. I think that would be.
that's the biggest thing I'd like to do, just to have it to where it is because the incentives are one thing, but being able to get the cars when the cars are being built, that's where the important part
we
is.
just need to be ahead of the curve here and quit chasing this ball.
We've been
About the time of year we see it.
And CIP meets on Wednesday, is that correct? So we're gonna know exactly what some of the other requests are, by next week also. So that might help inform the decision. And, can you wait until next?
I'm absolutely in favor of waiting until we can talk to Doug. I'm absolutely in favor of that.
He's been having budget meetings too, so he's gonna have a little bit more information on where our budget's gonna be this year.
I'm absolutely in favor of that.
Okay,
Trying to squeeze that in during the Department of Courts next week.
great.
I do have one more question for the sheriff, and maybe this is for Jeff as well. I believe in the past, some of the funding has always come from road department because you were able to repurpose the sheriff's vehicles down to a road department. Can you repurpose a Durango for the road department or the assessors if they're pursuit packages?
Yes. Pursuit package isn't like a bigger engine or anything. It's just better suspension, better cooling. It's officer safety, bigger brakes. It's all in the officer safety. In fact, to get the pursuit packages, we went down to V6s from the Hemis. So, because that's what they had.
One more just curious question. I see that the color is like something gray. Are we changing our fleet to a different color than white?
That way, everybody that drives a white vehicle doesn't see people's nose hit the ground. It's good to have them not.
I just waved.
So the plan is to take the entire fleet this gray color, or no?
White, gray is just different lighter colors that just so everybody's not seeing a white car and thinking, oh no. And if there's no white cars around, we
White
can
drain, that's why. I
drive as
never
fast
buy
as we
white.
want. I'm colorblind, so, okay.
All right, we'll
that
talk
all?
about this again then next week.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Assessor Leeper, you are up for some property tax exemption applications. You guys are moving steadily through these.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the hard work.
How many more after this?
What?
So how many more after?
I didn't count them up. I'm taking a really big time. No, we did have, weren't there three entities or four that failed to apply?
Oh,
Yeah, so, help me. American Legion failed to apply.
At all.
Well, and you need to know that Christie reached out to all of these entities and reminded them. Not once, but some of them 2 and 3 times. And I believe the Legion was 2 or 3 times.
maybe they feel like since they're renting it out so much, they wouldn't qualify.
I have no idea.
They are.
I think their intention was to file, they just didn't get it done by the deadline. And unfortunately, Idaho code is, pretty solid on that. If you don't apply by April 15th. you don't-
Kirsten, will you give them that microphone that's down there? They're gonna,
Was this
oh, you
not-
got it. I'm sorry, I
It's
didn't
not
see
an
that
app.
one.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Nope,
They're in green
got
light.
it.
Yes, there's a green light.
Okay.
Do you recall the other 2 entities that failed? Oh, Northwest Bible Missionary, and then the church camp over on West Mountain.
Just the building.
It's an LR, so it's just the buildings. And Christie had said that there was, they had made some sort of a comment to her that they were thinking about trying to sell it last year, maybe. So we're not sure. Anyway, just know that Christie did reach out to them, which we're really not required to do, but she was trying to, just make sure everybody was aware and they didn't forget. So. All right, so we'll do our 602B applications first. The first one is Capital Christian Center, also known as Faith Heights Church Camp. They reported that they used the property, a third party used the property for 89 days. So we are recommending that those 89 days be assessed as a commercial use and that 276 days be exempt from the information they submitted on their application.
Make a motion to approve the, RP 2105 Capital Christian Center, Inc. at 89 days assessed and 276 days exempt.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next 2 parcels both belong to the Protestant Episcopal Church in Idaho. One of them is the parcel with the church building on it. The other one is a bare land parcel used for parking. They submitted a complete application, and we are recommending a full exemption.
I would move that we approve RPM 010B and RPM 0110 for a full exemption.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
The next parcel is for Central Valley Baptist Church. It's the parcel that does have their church building on it. Their application was complete. They use it solely for themselves. We are recommending a full exemption.
Make a motion that we approve Central Valley Baptist Church, RPC 00WB, full exemption.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next entity is Grace Bible Church. This is the parcel with their church building on it. Application was complete. They use it solely for themselves. We are recommending a full exemption.
A question on this one.
Yes.
They have sold that building, and so is it automatically a full exemption and then we just revisit it?
Well,
You know, next
so
year it is a
the sale
church
was
that-
recent, and so we look back during what happened during 2024.
Okay.
And I do believe they sold it after the first of the year. So it was sold, so the new owners, if they are going to use it for religious purposes, will have to be the ones to apply next year.
Okay, great.
Is this one that's just down the road here?
That's
Okay, that's
the,
the-
where the church is that is in the senior center. They bought
They
that.
bought it. Ah. Okay.
I would move that we approve RPC 1010B for a full exemption.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Our last 602B application is for Southern Idaho Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. This is the Ida Haven Church Camp. And they reported that they used the property, a third party used the property for 16 days. We are recommending 16 days be assessed as a commercial use and 349 days be exempt.
Make a motion that we approve the RP 8145 Southern Idaho Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, 16 days assessed and 349 days exempt.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you. That completes the 602B. Moving on to 63-602C applications. The first one is for Heartland Hunger Resource Center. It's the food bank. And their application was complete, and they solely use it for the food bank purposes. We are recommending a full exemption.
I would move that we approve LRM 7365 Heartland Hunger Resources Center for a full exemption.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Next one is Alpha Grange, number 368. This is the Grange Hall on the corner of 55 and Alpha Lane. And their application was complete, and they use it solely for their own purposes, and we are recommending a full exemption.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we RP 6400 Alfred Range, number 368 for a full exemption.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The last 602C application is for Long Valley Preservation Society. I know we heard them last week, but there was one parcel, it's farthest to the east on Roseberry, that used to be within the Elds cow pasture. And so they lost the exemption because it wasn't being used for the museum purpose. So they had it surveyed, they moved the fence, and now they're using it for a parking lot. And so that one almost slipped through the cracks because it's been assessed, and now now that it's being used by the Long Valley Preservation Society for a parking lot, we're recommending a full exemption on that parcel.
Okay.
I would move that we approve RP 6590 Long Valley Preservation Society for a full exemption.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the 63-602D applications. McCall Memorial Hospital District has 10 parcels that they applied for exemption on, and we are recommending a full exemption on all 10 parcels.
This is probably the wrong question to ask. You know, it says McCall Memorial Hospital District. I know it's still a district. Even though it's wholly owned subsidiary of St. Luke's.
So the next 3 applications, those parcels are owned by St. Luke's.
Mm-hmm.
And the 10 that are in front of us right now are still legally owned by the McCall Memorial Hospital District. I know they're a taxing district
Right.
as well, but because they're nonprofit, in 63-602D, it does say that they have to apply every year, but it also states that the commissioners will approve them every year. So I think it's silly that they have to apply every year. And I don't know, I think there was something in legislation that had been brought up that they were trying to get something changed, but I don't think it happened.
Yeah, never
this year.
got through, but, yeah.
So,
There's a new law on the hospitals, but we're gonna have to figure it out what that looks like, what that means. So,
yes, and that doesn't take effect until this next go-around, I
July 1st.
believe, correct?
July 1st.
Yeah.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the Collin Memorial Hospital District, RPM 7524, RPM 0010, RPM 002A, RPM 002B, RPM 0010 again, RPM 002A, RPM 0020, RPM 0030, RPM 0010, RPM 0010. That's all. Or full exemption.
Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
The next three applications are owned by St. Luke's, and we are recommending a full exemption on these three applications as well.
I would move that we approve RPM 0090, RPM 006B, and RPM 0080 for a full exemption.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is so weird.
Christie, did they apply for the apartments that they bought? It's on 55 and it's right across from, gosh, what's it next to, right next to the hotel? Yeah, they didn't apply, okay, good. Couldn't tell by those, so.
So the last application in front of us is today falls under 63-602GG. That is the low-income housing exemption. So you guys probably remember already hearing this one. Their application got stuck, what do you call that, in the back end? Like a dashboard. It never came through. So you have to go in and clean the cache out every now and then. Well, their application from last year got stuck in there and it didn't get cleared out. So we went ahead and processed it and went, oh, they didn't change anything. They didn't do anything. Anyway, so here it is on our docket again. When they contacted us, they were like, we just got a denial letter, but we haven't applied yet. I'm actually working on the application right now. And so,
Interesting.
So we had to do some detective work and figure out what the heck happened. Anyway, so they did submit a new application. The good news is they did do an addendum to their lease agreement that did add the catastrophic clause. So they have complied with that part of Idaho code. We actually thought this was going to be cut and dry and that they had complied with everything. But then I sat down and I did the math. So Idaho code states that 50, okay, hold on, let me get my notes.
Is this the one you were sent, that was talking about the percentages?
Yeah.
And they didn't qualify for that last
Oh, that's right,
percentage?
we explained
By
it,
one.
yep, in the email. I tried to, it's a confusing because it's a percent of this and then this and this and, anyway, I didn't even get to the point where I asked them for any kind of clarification on the people's wages, because technically their app reported that 5 units, how'd that go, Christy? 5 units,
Like they were only out by one.
they're off by
30%.
1 unit on the 25%. They only have 1 unit rented at that, and they, per Idaho code, need to have 2. So that's where they're lacking, is right there. They also applied for Section 42 through this tax commission, and then Jen was working that up as well. So her and I had a conversation, because in Idaho code it says, however many units less the manager's unit. Well, they never specified in their application with us that one of them was a manager's unit. And so Jen said that in their Section 42 housing application that they indicated there was a manager's unit. So I went back and I ran the numbers as if there was only 7 units used rather than 8. And it still comes out to the same percentages and the numbers. So they're 1 unit shy on that 25%. So
So
unfortunately.
this is a question on this one. Can we grant a waiver? Because once you get people in a rental, you can't ask them to leave based upon that rental amount. So what we could do is say, when you have a unit become available, it has to be at that 30% AMI. And they know that they're working toward that.
Idaho code's pretty specific, and if they're going to apply for that exemption, I feel like we would be going against Idaho code if we,
Just because it's off the one.
yeah, well, I mean, the code hasn't changed, so it's like if they're gonna apply for an exemption, need to put the line.
Well, I mean, they could always come back with BOE and arm wrestle.
There's that. And then I don't know where their application would stand for the Section 42 housing. Did you talk to Jen about that? I don't know if that'll be granted or not. I don't know. But they've applied for 2 different exemptions so probably if they don't qualify for this one, maybe they'll qualify for the next one.
What's your recommendation?
I'm recommending a denial because they don't meet Idaho code.
Hate these. The one last year, little house here in Cascade touched my heart, and this one does too, because you can't just say, you gotta leave because, you
know.
don't make the
Well, and I
30% or
mean,
less.
honestly, they should have never have rented it. I mean, they should have made sure, if they're gonna apply for these exemptions, that they were in compliance with Idaho code. Not trying to be a hard nose, but you make exceptions for one, you have to make them for all.
That's the concern. You just
You
really
have to be
can't
fair and
open that
equitable.
door.
I believe so. Yes. So Jen's working with the State Tax Commission on their applications right now.
I'll make a motion that we deny the Western Idaho Community Action RPM, my glasses on, 7011 for denial.
Okay.
You approve the denial.
Approve the denial.
Okay. Been moved in second, and all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
with hesitancy.
I know,
Do they know that, when this turns over, we need to let them know, when you have a unit turnover, it's gotta be at 30%.
right, well, I had talked to them, they were having a hard time, or they thought they were having a hard time getting their application to submit. It was not this last Friday, but the Friday before, and so I saw the emails come in, and she emailed me, so I called her, and I just said, hey, it's come in twice now, and it's telling her that it didn't come in at all, and so I assured her that we received it. She said it wouldn't let me attach some of the documents, so I said, just email them straight to me, and then I'll get them to Christy as well. And so when we were working these up early last week, trying to determine if they met code, we thought they had done it until we started doing the math on the units. And then, so I have not contacted them and talked to them about the 1 unit shy, but we will be putting it in writing to them.
And the frustrating part is technically, we don't need 30% units, we need 60 to 80% units to meet our workforce need.
Well,
And so that's always, it's that
and
tough
hopefully
balance.
the industry will go to the legislatures and maybe
We need to work on that.
simplify that code a bit. Because for one, it's a little confusing. And 2, like you said, probably we don't really need to be at the 30%. Anyway, I don't know, maybe we need a couple units of that, but that's all we have for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Up next is our Veteran Service Officer presentation. Jamie Coffey Kelly, welcome.
Good to see you, Jamie.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
All right, so let me get you your
not give you mine, because I've written on mine.
No, I've got it.
She probably needs one to amend. Do you need to amend it to the minutes?
Yeah, I got it in.
Oh, okay.
We can start, if you want, with the back page, just because that's the fun page.
We did have our veteran, and I apologize, for some reason they came out really blue. Guessing my printer is not doing well, but we did do our veteran stand down in February, and that was very successful. We had 35 veterans. Because it was cold and snowing, we decided to change it to a drive-through event, but we still had quite a few vets stuck around, and some of them even jumped into line and were helping us. So it was a great, great thing. We had donations. Oh, let's see. You can see that at the very bottom right picture, every veteran going through got all of that. So it's quite a bit. Every veteran got 10 pounds of hamburger. They all donated.
That's worth a fortune today.
I know. Yeah. So, they got a couple pounds of chicken. They got the 10 pounds of hamburger, and there was also some. Well, as you can see, the Idaho Potato Coalition came in and gave us a whole bunch. Everybody got 10 pounds of potatoes, and then we got a lot of cold weather gear and flashlights. You name it. It was quite the mix of stuff. We did it there at Ridley's, and Heidi Haley, she's a second home person here. She works for one of the, I can't say it, but major food distributors. And so she was my partner in this. So she worked through the grocery chain, and I worked through kind of all the veteran organizations, and then a lot of the donations that were private donations, we worked on those. So between the two of us, we worked it all out in Ridley's back room, so that was awesome that they let us do that, because it was pretty cold outside. So we, packed all the bags. All the bags were donated from different organizations. As you can see, St. Luke's gave us a ton of bags, which was great. So it went really, really well. We are planning to do another one around Veterans Day weekend. We can't do it on that weekend because it's too close to Thanksgiving, and Ridley's back room is going to be stuffed. So we're still coming up with the date on that, but we're going to, by moving it to that time, hopefully it'll be a little warmer, a little less snow. We did have veterans called that said they couldn't drive in, so we sent volunteers to their house to bring them. So pretty much everybody that was supposed to be there got there one way or another, but we did have a few deliveries that we made down to some of the outlying areas. So 2 Yellow Pine vets, 1 came in to get it.
Oh, that's.
So it was nice. So that was our big fun for the. I had to have a nonprofit to stick it under, so I did. Obviously, I stuck it under the Legion because that's an easy one for me to stick that under. So. But between the two of us, that was very successful. So definitely going to pick up a few more volunteers this coming one to help, because that was a lot of work. So
Jamie, do you get involved with the veteran snowmobile ride? Do you ever get involved with that?
So Heidi does. I don't have a snowmobile.
Neil will get you one.
Yeah, I'm more of a four-wheeler person. I'm the summer get out and do something versus the winter go out and possibly get stuck in a snowdrift.
Sure.
Yeah, so no, I don't get involved in that one. But that's just because the idea of going out in the middle of nowhere on a snow machine that could break down.
There was so many people. It's so much fun. I've done it a couple times.
I've heard that. Yeah,
It's a lot of
it's
fun.
a good one.
I think there's two riders with each veteran. That's how they do it. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, and gals.
Yeah. No, I don't have a snow machine, so not one I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for this, I started out with the veteran stand down. So we had 37 new outreach visits. Because of winter, it's always a little bit slower this time of year. With 55 follow-up visits to follow up on claims, 3 home visits, 1 hospital visit. Of those, 25 were compensation or reopening compensation claims. 1 was working with a widow on cemetery markers. In-home aid and attendance application was 1. Burial benefits, we had 3 veterans pass away that I worked with their widows this year on burial benefits, as well as 2 getting the DIC compensation, which is for a veteran that passes due to a service-connected condition. When they pass, the spouse can ask for a portion of their disability to continue the cost of living. So, helped with one veteran getting into a psychiatric facility, and lots of other, just 6. I put 6. There's probably way more than that. I don't know how to count those. They're just the phone calls that come in. Hey, how do we do this? How do we? But 6 that were definitely people that I've did more than one thing with. So let's see. I'm still attending, obviously, the Legion meeting here in Cascade. I still go up to the McCall one. I still have my husband at that Legion, just so that I get all of their notifications from both sides. We just have him apply up at that one, just because we're in Donley. We can go either way. So that's been, what's that?
Is anybody even going to that one anymore?
So they still hold a meeting. Right now, they're on a hiatus because they have a lot of people that are out of town. They still hold a meeting a couple times a year.
Just a couple times a year? Wow.
Just a couple times a year, yeah. They had their selection of officers, and there was probably 5 people in the room going, "Hey, do you want to be this? Do you want to be?" You know, it's really, they need to get their numbers up, or they're going to have to dissolve the unit.
Right.
Which is too bad, because I know that there are veterans in the area. Just a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you know of any veterans and they're open to it, so at the Cascade Legion, that's the one that's, obviously, we have meetings every month, and I'm a little bit more involved with, just by the fact that they're open a lot more. We are working to get some of the younger veterans into, they're starting a 4-wheeler club. Actually, that was started last year. They're starting one of the motorcycle clubs that the Legion puts together. They're going to start one of those here. Just kind of trying to draw, because the meetings are boring, and if that's all you have, that's just not, that's not going to draw people. It's not fun. The meetings are just meetings, right? So I'm trying to get people together to do more. We're doing game nights, which is actually drawing quite a few people. It's all the information is on their website. So just kind of by bringing, the veterans in, the veterans and their families and whatnot, then we can, offer more services and get people together more. Yes, ma'am.
The Veterans Chamber, I know that she's up here now and heavily involved in Cascade. Is she engaging in McCall also?
So she helped us. She was one of the donors with our veteran stand down, and so yes, she's doing quite a bit. So yeah, I found her. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
So that was good. Our second stand down. I talked about that one. So this is always, I feel like it's important to put it in there, but it's probably not the most important thing, but the new monthly compensation and disability payments coming in. So this is the one where when we file a compensation or we file for, brain just went. We file for compensation or pension, there we go. Either way, if the veteran is awarded that compensation and pension, then, it's just a good way for me to say I'm doing things that are of benefit other than this stuff. And so obviously the new monthly pension and disability payments coming in since the last time we met will be $12,568 with back pay of $33,488. And claims are going through lightning fast right now, which is kind of interesting. I thought we were going to slow down with the whole cutting back on some of the claim people in the VA, but I think it just motivated some of these people to really get moving. So maybe that's a bad way to say it. I don't know, but claims are flying through right now, except for the ones that have been in this hold-up period. I don't know why they're not moving still, but any of the claims we're putting in now are coming in way before any of the ones that we're still seeing stuck out there. So
Wow.
I don't know if there's just a pile out there that nobody knows about, but we keep sending them back going, hey, what about this one? So we should get some of those coming back in soon. So the back payments, I don't know if I said that, was the $33,488. With our veterans fund that we put together, kind of partnering with Ignite Idaho, we still have funds in there. And in total, we have 12 veterans / family members, because we have had a couple kids use, veterans kids use that counseling fund. And it's available to, so the fund is available to any veteran in Valley County, as well as any provider in Valley County. So we did have a couple providers that were doing telehealth for veterans here in the community, which we're going to try to figure out. My thing is, it's a veteran in Valley County, it doesn't matter where they come from, but we did write it up to say that the provider had to be in Valley County as well, so we're probably gonna change some of the wording on that. Because if they're helping a veteran in Valley County, I don't really care where they're providing. And telehealth has become a bigger thing anyhow, so.
So is that, when you say telehealth, I look at the statistics, all my family, my kid, veterans, and I hear the statistics of veteran suicides. Does that telehealth help with that, or is that a little more, is that on a different level?
So personally, I'll go to my professional, put on my LCSW hat here in a second. Personally, if they can talk to anyone, it's helpful. Professionally, it's very, very difficult because, and I'll give you an example without any detail. There was a veteran that was suicidal. I reached out to their clinician. Thanks for everything you've done for me. I'm out of here. I'm checking out. The clinician didn't live in the area, didn't know anyone except just to call law enforcement, but had that clinician had a little more knowledge of the area, I think things could have happened a little faster. They could have done, things a little bit different, versus just sending law enforcement out, which can be a little scary when you send, law enforcement out with someone who's standing there with a gun getting ready to shoot themselves, right? There's ways to mitigate that, and bring that down, but when you're the clinician and you're out in, wherever, California, but you're licensed in Idaho, that's difficult, because you don't have any way to be there for them.
Right.
So, yes, telehealth works, but in times of crisis, I've just noticed too many times where the clinician will start reaching out for other clinicians in the area to help. So it's hard.
Is that what you are? I mean, are you?
I have done that in the past when people will call up and say, hey, I've got a veteran in crisis. I'll go out and check in on them.
Thank you.
Because I do have both hats.
Appreciate
So,
that.
yeah, so, but, any questions?
Yeah, so I went to the workforce development meeting, and I can't remember her name, the one from the veteran chamber. And she was talking about, trying to place veterans in this area for work. And just know, the county always has positions available. We would love veterans to come join our family.
Okay.
So, if there's any opportunity to get veterans up here, or somebody we would love to have in Valley County.
Housing, I think, is one of the more difficult parts. It would depend on, if they can afford to live up here. That's difficult, so.
County will have 3 additional units starting in July.
Okay, good to know.
2-bedroom, 2-bath.
All right. And do I get a hold of you guys? Who do I reach out to for?
Reach out to me.
Out to you, okay. All right, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jamie.
Yep.
Thanks for all you do.
I appreciate you guys letting me do it. This is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had.
Whoa, good. That's always a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay, up next, our Central District Health Director, Russ Duke, I can't say that this morning, is in the room with us. Come on up. Good to see you. It's been, what, a year?
What's that?
Many years since we've seen you.
Yeah, it has been.
We're gonna need you guys on that microphone, so if you wanna snuggle up to that.
Been a couple days since I saw Commissioner Caldwell, a whole weekend.
A whole weekend, yes.
How did the calf branding go?
It went really, really good.
Good, the
Yep.
weather was beautiful.
It was gorgeous. I'm hoping for good weather this Saturday as well.
Okay.
Just saw Elt on Wednesday. He just got back from a cruise.
Oh, how fun.
He looked rested and happy. I was totally jealous. He doesn't miss us at all. He did say he missed us.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't miss us.
Yeah.
I was good. I've still got
Okay,
mine.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Alvin's a good guy, fun to have on the board. He was with us for 10 years. Long time. Guess that's probably about the length of his term as a commissioner, right? That's
It was 11, yeah. Well, it's time for fresh ideas.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it.
good, yeah.
You got fresh ideas, Calvin?
So thank you for allowing me some time on your agenda. I wanted to introduce Brandon Harris. He's our senior environmental health specialist, or soon to be senior. I can't remember what his status is. Okay, so it's official. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, and Brandon, you could say a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be doing up here. He's working out of Boise. We tried for a very long time to recruit for a Valley County position, but all the reasons you guys just had a conversation with the previous presenter, it's just cost of living and trying to find that specialized skill set that Brandon has here in the Valley. It's next to impossible. So this is what we're gonna do. We have 2 staff coming up here working, but Brandon will be the primary. So you can do whatever you'd like.
Like Russ said, I'm the senior inspector for Valley County, so I do restaurant inspections, septic installations. I primarily cover north of Cascade, and then there's very South Valley County border. I'm gonna be up here 4 to 5 days a week. I'll be up here more often than previously. So hopefully, even with out of Boise.
Is Boise the place that you prefer to live? Or if we could find housing, you would prefer to live up here, not have to drive it?
I'm open to options. Currently, I'm
So who is currently doing the work? Are you stepping into shoes, or you're in addition to what we currently have?
So I'm stepping into shoes. There was about a 6-month long vacancy. Previous senior inspector left. During that time period, there were other inspectors filling in for those roles, and that was addition to their other tasks. So I'm filling in for that.
Welcome.
Yeah, so if anything comes up, really any land development, complaints, any of that, that's, Brandon will be your person. Yeah. he's
Really
excited
hoping
that-
to have a new sewer district down here, so sounds like
Yeah.
would be an amazing opportunity for this region, so when that happens.
Talking on the way up about his geographic region all the way to Big Creek. So, what is it, one food is food? Is,
We have 1 food permit up at Big Creek, 5 or 6.
that's just the valley, there's rural and frontier areas where we still have to.
So you guys, do you deal with the sewer districts, like North Lake Sewer and all those? Do you deal with those at all?
When it comes to the sewer districts, I believe all of that goes through DEQ.
Okay.
Primarily only
Okay.
Individual
Right.
systems.
Jeff, I don't know if you guys remember Jeff Lappin.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, you do?
totally, yeah, he, I think I was driving through town, I think after he retired, he had worked at Temple Tom's for a while, is what I had heard, so I never saw him there, but, yeah, did that work for a lot of years,
Yeah, I worked with Jeff on many projects.
yeah.
You just had to get to know Jeff. Once you did, he was just a good guy.
After you got to know him.
I think I know.
So, okay, so I'm gonna, let you know the process, for the budget setting. So we're on a July 1 through June 30th fiscal year, unlike the counties, for September. And, on Friday, the Board of Health met, which Commissioner Caldwell is now a part of our board, representing Valley County. And I presented this budget to them, and they vote on it to decide, are we gonna move forward, or do you want changes made to the budget? Stepping back to the March meeting is when I would go to the board and say, here's what we would like to do, kind of talk about employee compensation and the increase contribution from our county. So they give me guidance on it, then I work with their team, we build the budget, take it back to the board, and they voted to approve this budget on Friday. And on May 9th, which I have a save the date card for you, I've got to hand to you, but it's May 9th at 10 a.m. is when the chairs of each of the 4 counties that we serve, or Board of Commissioners, will come to Boise, and that's when the budget committee takes place. And delegate that if you choose to. Sometimes, depends on where we have the meeting, we rotate it around to each of our counties. Just so happens this year it's in Ada County, but if you wanted to delegate that to Commissioner Caldwell, you could do that. It has to be a commissioner delegate it to Idaho code, but you know how you want to vote, and you don't want to drive to Boise on a Friday, and sometimes the meetings are 10 minutes. They can go a little bit longer than that, but they're pretty brief. Commissioner Mopin, if you choose to come down, you're welcome to stay for part or all of the board meeting. How it'll be following the budget committee meeting. So I'll give you this card one more.
Morning.
Good morning.
Are you joining here?
Hi, Jennifer.
Yes, sorry
So,
about
no
that.
worries.
We'll talk about that, but I do have it down
So,
now, so.
Wanted to introduce you to both Brandon and Jennifer. Jennifer's manages our office, and McCall, and say a little bit about yourself. I know you're like born, raised, spent your whole life in Valley County and Lake Fork area, and so when you catch your breath, you can.
So you're one of us.
Yeah.
Who did you replace?
I replaced Nick Butler.
Oh, okay.
Before that, it was Suzanne Mack.
Okay, so Suzanne retired?
Yep.
Oh, nice, good for
Yeah.
her.
And then Nick was there for
About a year or so.
Nick Butler, and then he went to work for FedEx.
Yep.
And Jennifer joined us as a customer service representative, and then Nick left role of managing the office. So,
I'm an Idaho native. I've lived in Valley County my whole life. I'm actually from Warren.
We'll be in trouble if we don't.
And we have roots here from the 30s, actually. I grew up here, went to school here, and went to, Idaho. And I have a degree actually. A little bit of a detour from that, but I really enjoyed my.
Love it.
Awesome.
we have 2 other staff. Crawford, who does parents as teachers, and that's not in the data sheet I handed out, because that's for fiscal year '24, for year, complete year. But she started with us recently, so that'll be a home visiting program that they'll talk to Elle a lot of years. When are you going to bring it to Valley County? When are you going to bring it to Valley County? So we're have to be able to hire her. She's going to start out part-time, and that's actually going out and visiting with families from pregnancy up until the time they head into kindergarten and help them with parenting skills. Build the number of families up, and once she get up to like 15 families, hours to be full-time. That's our objective, and we'll make sure funded. You generate some revenue from Medicaid from those visits, so it's not just fully grant or county. And Hannah she's been with us about a year.
Yeah, she started that.
June, so she is our WIC clinical assistant. Fabulous job, and that's part-time, just because we serve here, but does a great job for us, and those are our other two. Yeah, she's working on being social work. Yeah.
Do you know if Crawford will be working with YCAP? And they've got the little kindergarten in Donley.
My understanding is she's already met with them and lots of other groups, and because they would have kindergarten,
families,
a
yeah.
lot of younger kids, and the program's not very restrictive, and that's one of the added values is 4 or 5 children, as long as one of them fall within that age, pre-kindergarten. They usually work with them about 15 months up to 2 years. They can stay on the program the whole time, but it just seems like that's about the right amount of time to have the positive impact. So,
Great.
next year, we'll make sure she joins us, and she'll have a whole year of experience working in Valley County.
It's exciting to have that here. Ignites the other group,
Yep.
that really is a collaborative.
Exactly.
Call, so,
She's been- had meetings with them and try to figure out how to partner and build referral networks, and I think
Great.
there's
Good to hear.
definitely more need than our resources, which is not that uncommon, but very enthusiastic to,
Is highly motivated.
yeah,
Yes,
highly
yeah.
motivated.
She is really hustling. Really creative about coming up with
That's great.
Yeah, it's exciting to see our team grow. Eventually, we'll also be doing nurse-family partnership up here, but that requires a bachelor's prepared RN. We talked a little bit about that at the board meeting on Friday, so I think we're going to try to get settled in with parents as teachers and then figure out how to get the nurse with those qualifications placed here in Valley County. It's likely going to be part-time as well, and it has more restrictions. The mom has to be pregnant, not completed this, just through the second trimester for them to be eligible for the program, and that's per the model, not by CH. So that'll be really cool to have that program, and it's more medical based. Teachers is focused on the social growth, development, learning aspects. Okay, for the budget, starting on page 1 is the summary of the budget, and then I'm going to go through each of these specific areas on the expenditure and the revenue side and answer any questions that you might have. This is not a decision point for you all today. It's not like I'm not asking for a decision, but for if you or you delegate that responsibility, the decision point will be on the morning of May 9th. So for our employee count, that's the top line, we reduced the number of staff by about 6. And this is this year's budget compared to where we started last year. So a lot of those adjustments have already been made. Probably, I assume when you guys set your budget, you have to stay within the budget, but you get new grant funding goes away, so we made adjustments. Part of that was a small remaining team that worked on COVID, and they were working pretty much exclusively with long-term care facilities and skilled nursing facilities, because even though most of us are thinking COVID's way in the past, in the skilled nursing and long-term care, they still have outbreaks and they still have people getting really sick from it. So that money is gone, and so are the positions. We've also consolidated our administrative assistants. We eliminated 2 of those, and essentially what we're doing is a lot of, I was able to sign contracts while I was sitting back there because the technology has changed so much. We're able to automate, and then some of our program staff have been able to take on those responsibilities. So it's allowed us to save some money, which you see in the personnel expenditures. It's up a little bit, but that includes proposed staff salary increases and any increased cost of benefits. Our operating cost is down. Again, I'll wait to share the details of that when I get into that section. Capital outlay, those are remodels, and this one happens to be heat pumps for our Armstrong office, or we purchase vehicles, and we're not purchasing any. Our fleet's pretty solid right now as far as we don't have real high mileage vehicles, and that was for a while. We were turning those over because they had 125, 150,000 miles, and it starts costing us a lot of money, and it's not ideal to have our team out on the road with.
That's what Brandon's gonna do, drive back and forth to McCall.
Yeah,
And my trucks already have 150.
Per year.
yeah. So next year. And then the trustee and benefits, what those primarily are is when we pay somebody to do work on our behalf. So it's not like a contractor where you have them come in and do lawn maintenance or light bulbs or whatever, but these are individuals that we pay to deliver services. And the best example I can give of that is like with vaping cessation. We have contractors all over our health district who deliver those services, like with Catch My Breath through the schools, and rather than us having staff do it, we pay other people to do that for us.
So when you're looking at that, I'm looking at 26, it's doubled.
So a good chunk of that was we had designated in operating for work with opioid prevention. So it was recategorized. So part of that operating cost reduction, which is sizable, was to move money from operating into just trustee and benefits.
So moving money around, basically.
Into the different categories.
Right.
The work's basically the same, it just needed to be more appropriately categorized in a T&B category.
Okay.
Good question now. The county funds, what we're asking for is a 3% increase from our counties. That's consistent with what we've been doing for almost 2 decades, except for the recession years where we asked for no funding one year, and then we asked for a 2% increase as we started to come out of that recession period. So 3% allows us to basically keep pace with inflation, both on the operating side of our business as well as provide our staff with reasonable salary increases from year to year. And we'll see how that impacts Valley County on the next page. State appropriation designated, I'll cover that. That's a slight increase. Contracts have gone down. Fee revenue we anticipate going up. Part of that fee revenue is increased revenue we're generating from Medicaid because we're seeing more and more families within our home visiting program, and that's what we talked about with Crawford working up here in Valley County. It'll take her a while once you start seeing families and then billing and then the money starts coming in. That's ideal, right, where you don't have to rely on tax dollars ongoing, but you can bill whenever there's a source of payment. No other insurances pay for home visiting, but Medicaid does.
You guys did not get the legislation passed that allowed us as counties to set fees on some of these inspections, did it? Didn't go through, did it? I mean, what is your ability to increase fees on the local level?
So for us to, like for a septic permit, that goes through the Board of Health. So we'll present actually the fees in May. And we look at what our cost was last year and then set the fees based on our actual cost. So our Idaho code allows our board to set fees to reasonably cover the cost of delivering a service.
Okay.
That's going to be individuals paying versus insurance. In the case of Medicaid is who pays us for the home visits and for clinical services and oral health and things like that.
Sometimes it's better though to do it on a user fee. They're the ones that are actually building the home, have that need,
Yeah.
versus putting it on the backs of the taxpayers that may
Sure.
not be utilizing that.
So we, for the land development work, that is 100% covered by user fees, and those fees are established by the board.
Okay.
Yep, it's not subsidized at all. Food inspections, which I've heard in the legislature, where at least there's an effort by the boards of health every year to either increase the fees or preferably take them out of Idaho code, because those fees are set in Idaho code. So the board doesn't have the authority to set those fees. And once they're set, your inflationary costs go up year after year, and it just erodes the, kind of the ratio of taxpayer funded versus business funded. But there's never been the right political environment to, Idaho Association of Counties is who we work with primarily, Seth, Greg and Kelly Brassfield, and it's never risen to the priority level, but it seems to me that the businesses should pay and the county should not, but I don't know if that's ever gonna, once you get fees set in code and the businesses, right, that's an advantage to them, that taxpayers subsidize it. If it didn't start that way, I think the board would be setting the fees and they'd be adjusting them upward as the cost goes up.
Might talk to anybody you know that's in the legislature.
That's Caitlin's job. She's Central District Health.
Yeah.
This is the Board of County Commissioners. We're all responsible for taxpayer dollars.
He sits on that health board.
Yeah, and honestly, that's where, I think, and we're gonna be meeting this October, all the boards of health will be meeting in the Treasure Valley. And this is one of those things you have to decide. I mean, is it worth the effort to hire somebody like a lobbyist, which we've done in the past, Mike Kane, and he's done a really good job for us. And you gotta put money behind it. They're not gonna work for free, and if they're gonna be effective, they're gonna have to work and meet with all the legislators on the Senate and the House, and these would go through the Health and Welfare Committees. I was involved in that in the past, and it's weeks and weeks and weeks of work to get something changed. But ideally, if we could get the fees taken out of Idaho code and it's passed on to the board, then you don't have to deal directly with the legislature anymore with the fee setting authority of the Board of Health. Does that make sense?
Yeah, would these fees be going to be paid for by businesses or by the taxpayers?
Business.
Saying that's just my opinion. The more we tax businesses, businesses put people to work.
Yep.
And the more we hit these small businesses, the harder it is for them to keep the doors open. That's just me.
Don't want him to talk to Faye.
I'm just saying, that's how I look at, because I'm a small business owner.
And I think that's some of the views, like when Megan Blanksma, when she was a representative and she was also on the Board of Health, said, it's a public health issue and taxpayers have some responsibility to pay for the safe food supply, so it's not just, the restaurant or the summer event, summer fair, it's grocery stores. So it's not like it's a luxury where you go out to eat. If you go buy food at a grocery store, Brandon will be inspecting them here in Valley County. So, it's one of those philosophical debates, but it'll never end. Other revenue and interest, I'll talk about that when we get to that section and then
So we've only got 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. Okay.
So hit the highlights.
I'll hit the highlights. This is, so look at on page 2, you'll see exactly how the 3% increase is spread across the 4 counties. So in the teal column, the total amount of the increase is 165,000. That makes up the 3% increase from last year. I think for the first time ever, since I've been doing this, 19 years, Valley County will pay the least as far as percent and as far as dollar amount. And that's based on a formula that's in Idaho code. You get the market values from the tax commission and population numbers from the Census Bureau.
Yep.
So people could debate that, but that's basically where all 7 health districts get this data from, so it's consistent and a reliable source from year to year. So if the Budget Committee votes to support a 3% increase, Valley County's share to Central District Health will go up $2,241.
Thank you, Ada County.
But yeah, right. And really a 0.1% increase for them. 3.1 is, that 0.1 is actually a lot of money, so. But, you know, the whole, our whole district's growing like crazy. I mean, even Boise County's seen significant changes in not so much population, but market value over the last 4, 5, 6 years. Then down at the bottom, page 3, you'll see all the changes from year to year, population and market value. Okay, so personnel cost. This is really important. I know I'm short on time. What we do is we gather from each of our counties every year what you all do for your staff as far as pay increases, cost of living, merit, position-specific adjustments. And right now, we do a 2% cost of living, 1% merit for high performers, and then there's a market value from 1.5 to 7%. It's capped at 10%. No one will get more than 10% increase this year, which is a lot, but those market values for these positions changed substantially in the last 2 years. So if we do this pay increase, we're going to be even if you look at the last 10 years with Ada County and Boise County, and we're still behind Valley and Elmore. So we'll come back next year and see if we have the money to be able to make more adjustments. So that's part of the 3% increase. I think what else I wanted to...
Heck, our benefits went up again like 11% or something. I mean, it's just, the costs of just providing this is crazy right now.
For our 150 staff, that includes, you know, I said 136, that includes part-time staff, so it's about 150 FTEs we're providing benefits for. The fringe benefits this year went up $171,000. That's 1 year change from last year. So it's
crazy.
The salary cost is only a part of it, right? And then you got the benefit cost, which, yeah, it's significant. Trustee and benefit, we've already talked about that. Page 7, state appropriations. The state appropriation, as those of you who've been on the Board of Commissioners for a while, that all changed with House Bill 316 passed. The state used to give us about the same amount of money as the counties. That bill shifted all that responsibility over to the counties. So we don't get a general state appropriation, but we get Millennium Fund dollars, which is tobacco settlement money from literally the turn of the century. Year 2000 is when that all kind of went down, and then we started getting money at the health district. And then home visiting funding. We get money to do home visiting services as well. Contract revenue, fee revenue. The one thing that we did this year, I think that's the last thing I'll call out, is rather than budget personnel at 100% and then have money left over at the end of the year, it's a good place to be, but our reserve account is solid. We have 3 months operating reserve, and our budget decreasing. The need for 3 months is going to go down some. So we actually budgeted at 98% of our personnel budget. So we're anticipating 2% of our personnel cost will have in savings. So if we come in high, like no one quits their jobs, we'll have to take money out of our reserve account, which the board agreed to, and I think it makes sense. We come in at 95%, then we have money left over, we go to the board and we say, you know, we need the software or vehicles or whatever, and that happens in August. So, the last couple of pages, you'll see there's still some acronyms. Tried to eliminate as many acronyms as we could, put this in a landscape format so it's more readable. But these pages are cost and the services across the entire agency, from our support services to all the regulatory, to health promotion, health policy, public health preparedness, clinical, oral health, behavioral health, medical, and WIC. And then I provided you with a handout, and you can see if your constituents say, well, what are we getting for our money that we're giving to Central District Health, that's fiscal year 24. The first page is a summary of all the services and things we do, not all the fine details, but this is a high-level summary. And then throughout the document, you'll see Valley County specific or district-wide specific. It depends on what the topics are, whether you'll see it at a Valley County level or district-wide level. That's what I have for you, and be glad to answer any questions you have.
We'll take a little more time to look at the highlights, but yeah,
Okay.
great having you guys as partners. It's important,
Yeah.
we take care of our environment up here, and you guys are a critical part of that. I appreciate all of the input you give us when we are looking at land subdivisions. We'll make sure we get all of the necessary requirements and restrictions placed upon those, so.
Yeah.
Great partnership.
If you ever need Brandon to come to any of your meetings, just let him know, and we'll make sure he's here. We're here to provide whatever support we can to the counties, and we appreciate your support in the way of helping finance our business. And same thing, if there's any real big gaps that we can try to fill from a public health perspective, just let me know, or Jennifer, or Brandon, or Commissioner Caldwell. who's-
Yeah, right
she's
here.
one of the bosses now of the health department.
Yeah, she was excited to do that, and I was excited for her to do it. I didn't want, that wasn't in my wheelhouse. Evidently, I think she's gonna do a great job.
Yeah, it's, I think it's a good board. It seems like the board members that have kind of come and gone, including Elf, has really enjoyed serving on it, and I enjoyed having them, and a good mission, and with few exceptions, not much we do is super controversial, and probably the exception was COVID, and it's like, whatever, we did what we could, and did the
We all learn
best
from it.
decisions. Yeah, it was a bad deal all the way around for everybody, but that mostly, all good from now on.
It's all good, all good. And, yeah, Commissioner Mopper laughed because my wife is one of the legislators down there.
Okay.
And she was a freshman this year, and she serves on the Health and Welfare Board.
Got it.
So that's, it'd be good for, I think, Catlin to reach out to her, and she has her feet a little wetter in the process for next year, and
Yeah.
talk to Faye, and
Yeah.
We have swimming pool issues.
Yeah, for example,
Yes.
that's one of the things, and it wasn't a legislator, any individual legislators, that was, I forgot to point that out. You guys have one public pool currently, Cascade Aquatic Center, but that will, no more regulations starting July 1. So they won't be inspected by us anymore. No public pools will be inspected. And we're working on a proposal to bring back to the board, and hopefully by May, we're out of time to just looking at it from a voluntary perspective rather than having regulations, because it was statewide, consistently applied. Now it's like every city for themselves. If you want a regulator, you don't. What rules do you want to put in place? In fact, for our team, it makes it very difficult if Cascade were to adopt something different in Boise, different in Idaho City or Mountain Home. So I think what we're thinking about doing is opening it up to everybody, including hotels and motels and gyms, and include hot tubs and splash parks, and have a training option for a fee and have an inspection for a fee. And I think that's going to be more palatable. Seems like we're moving further toward less regulations in Idaho. And I think this will be a way to say, hey, if this will help you with your insurance and risk, and we're here for you, and certainly we'll be involved in these investigations, whether we're getting paid to do it or not. That's what we do. Heavy side.
I was shocked to hear that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think there's a natural expectation that a public pool has oversight.
And I didn't realize how many outbreaks we really have every year in
Major outbreaks
public pools.
sometimes,
I mean,
yeah.
You said a gentleman was hospitalized for a week or.
Yeah, 8 days, yeah, Legionnaire's disease. And the problem was that bill got pushed through. It was in House Bill 202, and it was all kind of changes, and there was one line in there to take away the Department of Health and Welfare directors. So we're trying to work with the legislature, and then, got advised that that's not a good idea, so we backed off. And I do believe that if you ask everyone in your county, do you think it's appropriate to have your pool looked at once a year? I can't imagine anyone saying no.
I can't either, so, yeah, let's keep up to date on that. We should
Yeah.
have that discussion for certain, so. All right, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You bet.
Hoping that
Nice to meet
Alicia.
you, and we'll kind of see you up here more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really nice to meet
Here's
all
the
of you.
card.
All right,
Nothing
thank
to do
you.
With technology, probably put it on your schedule.
Yes.
We'll see you on,
I might let you
June
just do it
9th.
though.
You said
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Amy.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. Let's see if our next item is up. I saw Dee Dee walk by, so,
What's that?
I think they're outside.
okay. They're coming. I see them now. Good morning.
I'm gonna take a real quick.
Okay. Come on up. Good morning. We're excited to hear from you. Hi, have a seat at the table. Neil's gonna take a really quick break and then we will get started.
You have emailed in. There is an email. But I did print some, so I can certainly.
Let's see if they were in our packet.
Okay.
I don't remember. Remember seeing them? I don't remember seeing them. I don't remember seeing them, to be honest with you, so.
We don't either. Great.
We'll just use these. Thank you for bringing them.
Planner.
That's a good thing. I don't see them, so.
I think we were gonna wait for Neil, or would you like to?
No, go ahead.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Fine, so.
I'm Alicia Baptiste with Juvenile Corrections, and I come up here every year. I think Commissioner Mopin, you're the only one I know, though. I come up every year and present and diversion. And Dee Dee put this together because though I put it together, it's her data, her information, so she can see more in detail if there are questions. I'd like to know how we relate to each other regarding systems. She's a state entity, Department of Juvenile, which kind of does not oversee with our departments at all. She's just, it's kind of like when like a county jail versus may connect. The state is a legislature for, and so that's what she does. This information, every county, all of her liaisons. present the data that sounds great. Thank you. Yeah. One little part of what I do.
Yes, it is how they
Thank you.
operate, yeah.
Yes. So thank you for having me this morning. So looking at these charts on page 1, and please ask questions as we go, otherwise I'll just kind of go. Looking at page 1, so the blue charts on top, that's going to show the youth arrest. That's actually ISP data, so that's any youth that they call arrest doesn't necessarily mean they came to probation. And so, because that could be alcohol situations, and it could be like traffic sort of situations. So those would go, a different route and not too deep. So just kind of giving you a little background there. So
And this is up to 18 years of age, is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, because we're specifically identifying. So youth arrests, detention admissions, and youth petitions are all in that blue section up top. Nothing really sticks out to me as far as any information in that data to dig through. Detention admissions and petitions are going down.
I would add the
Arrests
detentions.
are
We didn't
going
have
up.
anyone with the Weaver case. They have been a detention. Came back. We haven't had any fees at all for detentions. And then her and I were going back and forth with the other one that looked as if in the data, someone put residents up here as their primary.
Oh,
We didn't have anybody that I know of.
And even if you knew the two, that's significantly less than 4, right? So, so those are going down, and youth petitions are pretty, I mean, in 2022, they were a little higher, but 10, 15.
but tell me what youth petitions are.
Youth petitions, that's so when an officer writes a police report, and it might say several charges in that police report, that goes to the prosecutor's office. They draw up what's called the petition, and that goes to the court.
Okay.
So that will have, one youth's name, but then might have several charges in it, whatever they're putting forward. It's the document.
Okay. So a difference there could be a difference or a change in a prosecuting attorney and what they were actually going to prosecute for?
Well, yes, because if they decide to divert, if a case comes to them, a police report, and they decide to divert it, that won't be drawn up into a petition.
That's what I'm wondering if that was within that, so, okay.
Yes. And that'll be on the next page, we kind of version. Let's see, the maroon charts down below, those can be read both up and down, but also left to right, so they kind of, it's all one, even though it looks like 3 individual charts. So there were 20 charges filed in Valley County, 1 felony, which breaks down to 5%, 16 misdemeanors, and 3 status offenses.
Are you there? Just to throw out this question, probably, I see one of you. When they're minors like that and they say it's a felony, does that carry forward into their adult life?
Nope. So none of these, well,
Favorable offenses.
right. So, yeah, they will, if they were under the age of 18 when they committed whatever their offense was, no matter what style or what level of offense, they complete on juvenile probation, unless it's a waivable offense. So they'll complete everything for that court decree under juvenile probation, and then if they commit something above the age of 18, that will go to the adult court.
Or like if they stole a car,
That's what,
like if they stole a car and I don't know if that's a felony offense, but so they steal a car and they get caught, and so they hit a felony offense and they're 16 years old. When they hit 18, that record is closed.
Unfortunately, I know the idea is for juvenile cases that they're sealed, or closed or expunged or whatever the language. Once they turn 18, it's not true. It's still accessible on, what do we use now, Odyssey, used to be iCourt. You can still type in somebody's name, no matter what their age, and it will still show you something, which I know when I was a probation officer, kids would apply for a job and their potential employer might type in their name and then deny them that job opportunity because they saw them in the system, but they don't know any details because that's what's not available in that system, details. So it's possible a youth came forward, went to court, but got what we call a 20-511 dismissal. So they didn't have, they were found innocent, essentially. They were found not guilty. And not placed on probation, but they're still shown in that system. So the person who's looking up their name, they don't know any details. They don't know that they were found not guilty, and they just judge.
So there is a process the kids could go and do that to get that wiped clean, so it doesn't affect their work history to get a job.
Yes, and that is on each individual youth now. That's changed over the years, but once they complete probation, they have to make it a priority now to come to the court, drawing up those documents. And a lot of times that's not a priority because then life keeps moving on, right? And so then they're done, thankfully, they're like, oh, I'm done with that part of my life. I'm moving on, I'm going to college or whatever, and they forget because it's a process.
Until they go to get a job.
Right.
For misdemeanor, it's 1 year after they've completed. Not going to ask for it to be a felony, they have to wait 5. And then we're always going to say that expungement is open. That can still need juvenile records.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I was just asking the question, I was curious, because that's a big one for anybody, trying to get a job.
For any, there's a myth out there that juvenile crimes go away when we have jurisdiction of found.
Right.
That's been on my department's mind for several years now. It's something we would like to go through the legislative confidentiality and always lots of things, right, to do, and you kind of that's something that the state as a whole has had work groups about.
Is that something that has to go through the legislature to?
It does. Okay, if you flip the page, this shows information regarding probation and diversion. So that top left chart shows how many youth were placed on probation as well as how many were released, and that doesn't change a whole lot. The chart that caught my attention was the top right, because it shows the youth that were brought into and also released from diversion was much higher this past year than in years past, but that didn't affect probation. So I asked Dee Dee, so more youth came through the system, right? It wasn't that more were diverted and fewer were placed on probation. And so we talked about a situation last summer that involved many youth at a summer party, graduation party. And so they were from outside of the area, came here, had a graduation, some sort of graduation party, right? Seniors in high school. And then they were going away after that, college. So it was a situation definitely appropriate for diversion, where you have, a bunch of youth coming into your area. To put them on probation doesn't make a whole lot of sense because then you're supervising kids that don't live here. That's challenging, right? And so maybe they were first-time offenders, that sort of thing. Drinking, and so lots of.
So this isn't so much Valley County kids, this is kids
From outside.
from outside.
Yeah.
Got caught in Valley County.
Yep.
You're on vacation, leave on probation.
Great.
But following what you had stated before, we have a prosecutor leaves and trying to not put kids on probation. We prefer to try diversion so that we can self-correct and then move out. I'm very appreciative of our prosecutor.
So the diversion keeps them from following them.
Because as soon as that petition is, that's when the record.
Right.
So police reports can just come.
Good.
Easier that.
That's awesome.
Go through a state
And we know once youth get into the system, not all youth, many will come into the system once and be done. But it is harder to move on with your life once you get that formal and go in front of the judge, have probation. Now you have a bunch of terms to comply with, which isn't always easy if you're also in school and doing extracurriculars or have other treatment, you know, and then your parents as well. And now you both have to find time to be able to complete these terms, as well as the money that comes along with, you know, fees and everything, you know, costs money that you're involved with. So to divert youth, I mean, that's a wonderful partnership, and you know, wonderful to have a prosecuting. Divert, obviously appropriate. But not all counties do that the same way in all 44 counties across the state. Certainly more are offering diversion than in the past, which is wonderful. So
Hopefully it scares them straight.
well,
You make a bad choice. You take a bad choice. Scare you a minute and then move on with your life.
And then the maroon charts below show success rate of both probation and diversion. And in 2024, probation success rate was 91%, with diversion being 100%. Success is measured by not after they get off probation, but if they're on probation and they have a basically.
Oh, makes sense.
Flipping the page, this paints the picture basically of what an average youth offender in Valley County is, basically the demographics. So 14 to 16-year-old white male is the average youth offender in Valley County. Just to point out, because I did ask Dee Dee about this, but the race at point of intake is that top right chart, shows 39% other or unknown. And so I've been pretty big about reaching out to the probation departments just to identify if this is an other or an unknown, because unknown is pretty easy to remedy, because for the most part probation does ask what race or and ethnicity do you identify with. But other is not so easy, because that's a lot of youth identify as more than one race or ethnicity, right? And so we don't have a way to track that. And I know last year when I talked to Dee Dee, that was the case, because this was also high in last year's report. And it's because, I mean, cohort is low, right? So if you have 11 kids, that could be 2 in that section, right? If they identify as 2 races, then other, not an unknown. So anyway, I like to clarify that.
I wish we didn't even take it. They're kids. I don't care what color you are. I
Yeah.
don't care what your nationality is, you know?
Right.
They're kids.
I always hate it when you're filling out something that says white. It's not a race. It's a color.
Yeah. And this is specifically like at the federal level, what the categories are, so that's where we take these from.
Yep.
That's why that box is other or unknown, because that's what it is at the federal. My department adds as well, so we.
So are the kids the ones that check that box?
They don't check it, but probation asks them directly the question.
Oh, okay.
Like when we sit down for social history interview, when we're building that report for the court. And so we don't identify for them. They can tell us what gender, what race, and what, well, they get to tell us. Okay, flipping to the next page. So the September 30th snapshot, the maroon charts on the top show snapshot of just September 30th, how many youth were on probation, how many youth were on diversion, and then how many were in IDJC custody. That's what those maroon charts are on the top. And again, we already talked about diversion.
One party.
I know. We also show here hours of community service completed, which is 362. I looked at last year's report and it was, I think it was about 210. So more community service hours completed. Amount of money paid directly to the victims is 0, and that's what it was last year as well. I received that information from the Supreme Court. So
Who supervises the community service? Is that our crew that does that?
Depends on where they go. For the most part, we have a partnership with community providers, so it can be any non-for-profit or government agency. There's a form that we give them, the supervisor has to sign, but we know that.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to the fire department, it's usually one of the supervised.
Okay. Just curious.
And then the last chart on this page in the bottom right is this blue and gray chart. So this shows recidivism. And so recidivism is measured after probation is completed if there is a new charge. So we measure at 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. So as you can see, there were no kids that had new charges 6 months after they completed probation. At 12 months after they completed probation, 11% had recidivated. I usually for Valley County write that number down, but it was probably 1 or 2 based on the low number.
The cohort?
You can, was it 2?
Please don't.
It was 2, okay.
I know one in my head.
2 youth, 11% recidivated, had a new charge at 12 months, and then that nobody at 24 months because it came 2 youth that were, which is incredible. I think that's lower than last year, but anyway, that's a very low
That's good.
when we look across.
Katie's team does a good job.
You de Jacques. Go to Jacques.
And then the last page is all about funding. And so on the last page, we have the maroon and the blue. The maroon is legislative pass-through funds. And so through the legislature on an annual basis, they provide DJC the Juvenile Corrections Act funds, the cigarette and tobacco funds, and so that's from tax on cigarette and tobacco, and then lottery tax funds. And so those are allocated based on census of the 17-year-olds. Get a different amount. So that comes into Valley County to use for one of those funding sources is for lotteries, and then the other 2 are for programs benefit youth. So criminal justice connected youth. So that's what came in last year that they had access to. And then the blue funds in the center, those are the behavioral health funds. And so for SUDS, which is Substance Use Disorder Services, $7,659 is what Valley County accessed and utilized for youth that were connected. It was only 3 youth, and that can be anywhere from a weekly urinalysis, right, at roughly $6 every time you submit a sample, all the way to residential substance use, $400 a day. So that's what that pot of money is used for. And Dee Dee and I, every Friday, we are part of a very small team of 5, or 6, I guess, that staff those cases. We process those cases from District 4, Valley County, Elmore County, Ada County, Boise County, which youth are needing funds for substance specifics in those 4 counties. And we almost never deny a youth. I can think of a couple youth we did deny because they were going on about 8 months in residential, and that's really supposed to be 90 to 120 days. And we want them to get the help, especially since the funding is there. We do utilize all of that pot of money here. So we're, I think, at 110% spent in District 4, even when we're almost at the end of the fiscal year. But other counties haven't utilized much, so we're not overspent. The money's still there since it's all one pot for the whole state. But my point is, it can, even with few youth accessing it, a lot of money can be spent compared to the pot of money next to that, which is called CBAS, which is community-based alternative services. So it's basically everything other than substance use. It can be transportation, counseling, family counseling, in-home work, CBRS, thank you, community-based rehabilitative services, mentoring, anything else falls into that category. But that, usually that billable unit or the amount for those services are less than substance use. So a lot of times the substance use pot will just look like. So that's just a little bit of background for those. But those are both also pots of money that IDJC is allocated from the legislature every year that we then provide to the counties.
Have you watched it? I mean, less people smoke now. I get that. But more people now vape,
Yes.
which is even worse than
And,
smoking.
right. And those are not yet taxed and going to this tobacco and cigarette pot of money yet. Even though almost
We
everyone's
tried.
like, are we taxing those yet? Are
Tried
they?
for 3 years.
Right, and it has been on a lot of people's minds, but I haven't seen that change yet. That also has to go through.
I would also, with this blue stuff, or the blue money, at least for the most part, because we haven't had anybody in. This is money that we have utilized to access.
Good.
$1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's all for community-based services, keeping kids in their home and in the community. And then the gray chart really just shows the amount, the percent of DD's budget that the funds from IDJC. So it doesn't really change much across the whole state, really, unless you get a big raise. Then it might look like our funds are decreasing, but the funds from us aren't decreasing. It really just is how much that percentage is based on what else you receive, what other funds. So that's the data.
Exciting.
Always great information.
And things are always great up here. I always love coming up here. And Dee Dee's a great partner. We just did the probation simulation a couple weeks ago. I know I had passed the information on to Doug to help invite folks to, but that was really, really great. It's a simulation of what it's like to be on probation, whether you're a youth or an adult, primarily re-entering back into the community, not just, maybe a first time. Always been, right? It has a lot of support. Coming out of some sort of, whether it's prison or jail or detention, or maybe a residential treatment facility, right? And trying to get back on your feet. It can be challenging. I mean, things are great here, and you guys have great community, a great team in your community. Everybody, lots of support, interaction, right? But that's not the same. I wouldn't say necessarily across the state, but nationally, people don't always talk together and communicate, and there are silos, right? And things can just be really challenging, especially when you're rural. And so we had 21 registered and actually 24. Great. I know that there was going to be a news report. Gentlemen, did it go out yet?
I saw something
I
on,
sent my comments. That's coming.
It was in the newspaper, wasn't it? Saw pictures
already?
and stuff, yeah.
That was, yeah, on Thursday.
Okay, then it was out already.
It was good.
It had the picture of Tracy on there, and you could see the sheriff in the background.
Oh, it must have been a picture of the room with
Yeah.
everybody in it, okay.
Yep.
Good. This,
I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there. I was out of town, so.
me too.
So do you, when you bring a child that's gone through the probation and they dump out, they get done with it, like we were talking about, hey, you need to do this form to get this wiped off. Do you help them navigate that?
They show up, I think, I'm training this with Nikki. As soon as it's the last visit and we're done, we always educate them. Here, we, verbally tell them the process. The court expects the juvenile to do it. But we have a blank form with them on how to access the court. Basically, that's what it is. It's a motion, expungement. They either have to do it or their attorney has to do it. Assist kids, or even adults. I mean, the department does the same. They will walk the adult through that, what they need to do to get work.
Sure.
So absolutely, that would be very exciting. I told him that he left, and if he completed his GED, I'd get him lunch. Nothing is more awkward yet cooler than your probation officer buying you lunch. Probation. So I mean, we'll do stuff like that so that they can come back. They had to be proud
Yeah.
as well as go through. And
Absolutely.
it's rare that a judge denies. Unless the only thing they've ever denied it is if there's.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for what you guys do.
So much. We're out of time.
Yes.
We're a little behind this morning, so that was good. It's always good to see you.
You too.
Thank you for the information, yes. We are very proud of our court services department as well as the community partners. We have a great community partnership up here, so.
I love working with them.
Yeah, if you have. I did write on it.
Thank you. All right, next up is a public hearing.
You're gonna want visual aid.
His name visual aids.
In pictures?
Yeah.
We love pictures. Don't have to.
Oh, they're in our packet, correct?
It's, as long as you understand the 5 acres and where the parking lot is.
Mm-hmm. I do.
You want me to put it up?
I don't need it. It was in our packet, so. Mr. Caldwell, would you like it up?
I'm out.
Oh, that's right. No, we don't need it.
My back to everybody.
So are you gonna do the ordinance first?
Whichever you want.
Okay, let's do the ordinance and get that out of the way. Ordinance 2025-03, motion for reconsideration.
We just need a motion for that?
No, she needs to present
Is that?
public hearing.
Staff report?
Yes.
Okay, the staff report for ordinance 2025-03, reconsideration. The proposed ordinance would add a new chapter to the Valley County Code. It'd be 9-5H-13, reconsideration. The ordinance details the method for seeking reconsideration of land use application prior to seeking the judicial review of a final decision of the Board of County Commissioners in accordance with Idaho Code 6765-35-2B. Ordinance provides a process for the board to determine whether to grant or deny a request for reconsideration. If the board grants reconsideration in whole or in part, a public hearing would be scheduled to address the specific deficiencies identified by the applicant or affected person and to allow interested persons to have an opportunity to be heard. Proposed ordinance and publication for the Star News are attached.
A $1,500 fee for the reconsideration was adopted by Resolution 2025-08 on April 14th, 2025. The P&Z Commission held a property notice public hearing on March 13th. The Commission recommended approval on March 13th. Legal notice for this public hearing was posted in the Star News, sent to political subdivisions, put in the post offices, and then published on the Valley County website. Did you have a chance to read through the ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
All it does really is provide a process so that we're consistent, because each time we've kind of done things differently, and we just thought we should be consistent when we do those reconsiderations. And that ends my staff report.
Any questions for Cinda?
I don't, it was very clear and open for me.
This is a public hearing, so I would open up the public hearing. Kristen, would you show that, Kirsten, I'm gonna call you Kristen. Would you show, I don't believe anyone is in the area, but is anyone present to speak in favor of this ordinance change? Oh,
You don't have to.
you don't have to, this is a judicial notice.
Legislative.
Don't confuse me, I'm just getting this down.
I know, she said legislative, I knew what she's talking about then.
Will you show that no one is present? Is anyone here in opposition? Well, there's no one here in opposition. Anyone? Verbiage in front of me. Non-biased or whatever. What is the term? Undecided, thank you.
Yep.
I need to get some of those right here.
Set two pieces in front of you.
Oh, was it?
Last week
I
it
thought that
showed-
was planning and zoning. I put it in the back.
Oh, cheat sheet?
That's for you.
Okay, thank you.
You need a cheat sheet up here.
I do. I've got them then. I'll go get it for the next one.
Uncommitted.
Uncommitted. Yeah. But no one, so I will close the public hearing. Anything else on this before we make a motion?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'll
I
make,
would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance 2025-03, motion for reconsideration.
Second. Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I guess I better go get my cheat sheet before I mess it up for you guys.
So we'll need signatures here.
I like cheat sheets. Where she'd always give me those to me when I was on P&Z. Made it easy.
Good at cheat sheets. There are two documents. One is the ordinance, and one is the publication approval.
Thank you for these. I went, oh, planning and zoning wants some stuff out, I just stuck it.
Which ones did? Yes, I said those, one's for the appeals, the other one's for just regular.
I'm really glad to have this documented. Isn't confusing for the public on what we're doing.
In both of these, I'll take this one, the publication, and then the ordinance will be recorded. Both of these need to be attested. My legs are short. Do you want to, here's another pen for when those things happen.
Ooh, what did I just do?
Is there a desk drawer down there we can put some pens in it?
Oh, there's a note to Douglas too. Do you want us to record this or?
All right, let's move on then. Next up is a Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1 amendment. And first up, staff report. Oh. Okay, so I have to open the public hearing. Do I have any ex parte or conflict of interest?
Not for me.
Not from me.
I'm going to recuse myself due to a family member being under contract with the applicant.
All right, now we will go ahead and take the staff report.
Okay, the staff report for Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1 amendment, subdivision 25-004 for phase 3.6 Aspen Townhomes preliminary plat and the Trillium parking lot relocation. The applicant is Tamarack Resort 2 and Tamarack Real Estate Holdings LLC. The site's in a portion of Tamarack Resort Block 19 Phase 1 Village, located in the northeast quarter of Section 5, Township 16, North Range 3 East, and parcel RP 16N03 East, 329684, in the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 16, North Range 3 East of the Boise Meridian, Valley County, Idaho. And the site is approximately 18 acres. Tamarack Resort 2 is requesting an amendment to the approved planned unit development for the following. One is to allow residential lots in an area that was identified as a parking lot in the original PUD by approving a 60-unit townhome subdivision plat. And then 2, add a 5-acre parcel adjacent to the northeast corner of the current boundary for a parking area named Trillium parking lot. The current Aspen parking lot was described as the entry parking lot in the original PUD. As part of the development of Phase 1, it included parking and an entry information center designated as B63 on the facilities plan. The Aspen Townhomes proposal will plat a subdivision with 62-story townhomes and open space lots on 11 acres. Average lot sizes are 0.676 acres. The homes would be accessed from Village Drive, a private road. Each unit will have a 2-car garage, and the site is served by North Lake Recreational Sewer and Water District and Tamarack Municipal Water. The Trillium parking lot includes the boundary expansion, and the existing parking lot would be relocated to the north and the PUD boundaries expanded. The new 7-acre parking area that was called Trillium parking lot would hold approximately 864 cars and 14 RV sites serviced with electrical power. The current Aspen parking lot holds 520 cars. Access to the parking lot would be from a new roundabout along Village Drive with secondary and emergency access from West Mountain Road. The Trillium parking lot would be buffered from the existing homes in Royal Scott subdivision by a 30-foot setback and landscaping berm. The parking lot design includes storage, snow storage areas, stormwater settling basins, and BMPs for runoff. And that 5 acres is immediately adjacent to the approved boundary of PUD 98-1. In 2023, the Board of County Commissioners approved amending PUD 98-1 to include these 5 acres and establish 23 cottage-type homes in open space. That was the cottages at Trillium Creek. The applicant property owner are now requesting to use this site for the Trillium parking lot. Recordation of the conditional use permit would be the official approval of the boundary change, and the previously approved CUP 2317, the cottages at Trillium Creek for 22 homes at this site, will be voided and would have expired in September of 2025. The Tamarack Resort PUD allows a maximum build-out of 2,043 units. Currently, 653 dwelling units have been platted. The additional 60 townhome units would bring the count to 713 dwelling units. The required neighborhood meeting was held on December 30th at the Arlington Center Schoolhouse within Tamarack Resort. The meeting was also accessible via Zoom. In addition, on January 22nd, the applicant mailed information regarding the Trillium parking lot in lieu of the neighborhood meeting and held another meeting on January 27th regarding the proposed parking lot. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a property notice public hearing on March 13th. They recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners in a 3-0 vote. Legal notice for this public hearing was published in the Star News, sent to agencies, neighbors, and posted on the Valley County website. And the site was actually posted March 28th. Chris Kirk, representing the applicant, submitted an email modifying the application to meet fire code by creating triplexes and fourplexes to meet fire code and adding a second entry. A site plan is attached. All agency comments received. Mike Reno, Central District Health, an application and engineering is required. Plans for central sewer and central water must be submitted and approved by the DEQ. Ms. Ellis, Donnelly Fire Marshal, listed requirements regarding roads, hydrant fire flow, fire alarms, sprinkler systems, address posting, and wildfire mitigation plan. Brandon Flack with Fish and Game sent a general letter in November 21st, and we've been inserting that into all subdivisions regarding, some recommendations for residential subdivisions. Hendrick Conder, ITD, stated impacts to the state highway system can be anticipated. Future resort expansion will require a traffic study. The EQ provided general comments on air quality, wastewater, drinking water, surface water, solid waste, hazardous waste, water quality, groundwater contamination, and BMPs. Paul Ashton, Parametrics Valley County Engineer, reviewed the proposed roadway and site visibility designs. There appears to be adequate stopping sight distance for vehicles exiting the roundabout and approaching the proposed east entrance to the development. A 40-foot right-of-way with 5-foot easements on both sides appears to meet the desired criteria. Revised grading plans and drainage analysis should be sent to Parametrics for review. And Parametrics continues to work in coordination with Dan Coons, the designated Valley County engineer. Public comments received, none. The site's relatively flat. The wetlands on the northern portion of the property will not be impacted. Surrounding land use is Tamarack Resort, and then Rose Scott number 5 and 6. And then across the street is the campgrounds managed by the Bureau of Reclamation, managed by the state on Bureau of Reclamation land. This proposal is categorized under 2 residential uses, H, PUD, 2 residential uses, F, condominium, townhouse, or multifamily residences. Proposed conditions of approval have been read into the record. However, I did add one, and that's condition of approval number 16. And that was after the P&Z Commission made a recommendation. And it states, shall record documents that incorporate the remainder of RP 16N03E 328900 into the PUD boundary and places it under the governance of Tamarack. Because that piece is being incorporated into the PUD, so there needs to be something that officially does that.
I see.
Like they would incorporate something into a city, just for tracking purposes. Are there any questions?
The only thing I was looking at was, we're looking at all the Firewise ordinances. Is there anything that was put into this, just to make sure that this is a timbered area? Is there anything that we need to try and put in there for fire prevention more than what's already in there? Fire documents?
This site is down by West Mountain, and it isn't very timbered in that area because it's an established parking lot. And the part that's going to be included is the new parking lot. They'll remove the timber. They will have hydrant accessibility that will meet fire flows.
It's a lot more dense, so as we move into thinking through fire-wise, types of things, we need to start incorporating that, especially when we're adding density.
And this is down on the road in the established area. When we get into the future phases, like the heritage and thing, I would anticipate those things are taken care of.
Is really the only question I had.
No, Firewise is big on everybody's mind nowadays. So, no, I'm good with this. Won't be a ugly old parking lot down there no more.
Okay, no more questions for staff, so.
I would say that if you do choose to approve this, I did not write motions, but this would be an approval of the PUD amendment and approval of the conditional use permit titled SUB 25-004, phase 3.6, so. And approval of the Trillium parking lot be relocated.
Where is that parking lot going to be relocated to?
North. Where it's located now, we'll go north into the annexed 5 acres.
Oh, I see.
We'll go that direction.
Yeah.
Kind of where their laydown yard is north.
Mm-hmm. I'm familiar with that area.
All right, we have a presentation by the applicant. Hey, Scott. Welcome back.
Morning, Commissioners. Scott Turlington with Tamarack Resort. I don't have a presentation. I am able to answer questions, but I do want to speak just to the process for a minute. We've now, for about the last 7 or 8 months, been going through the public hearings, the neighborhood meetings, your new ordinance, and it's been really successful for us. We've always had, except for one meeting we've had, neighbors attend, give us feedback. We take that feedback and incorporate it into our plan, which I think is helping hopefully reduce some of your workload because we can resolve that before it gets here. Especially with the parking lot, the Trillium parking lot, it'll be really next to the townhomes, contiguous to it. But there were a couple of outside neighbors that were not Tamarack homeowners that were obviously interested in what we were doing, so we spent time with a few of them, came up with some options on how we can help buffer, between the parking lot and their homes. So found it to be a very useful process. We'll continue to do that obviously as we go forward. And for this one in particular, with one thing I'll mention, and you may or may not remember, but when we met a few weeks ago, when we looked at the Aspen townhomes, there's 60. That's going to be phased in over a 4-year process. So we're not going to do everything in 1 year. We're going to start on the first 2 or 3 buildings, so maybe 15 to 20 units this year. We'll start in the summer, late summer with foundations. And then as we sell those, we'll move into the next one. So we kind of have an internal phasing system designed, but they won't all go up at the same time. So it will take a few years to get those in place. So I'm happy to answer any questions on the townhomes or the parking lot specifically, but it'll be a good product offering for the resort. There's a value add for us. The new parking lot we actually pick up. We actually increase our parking. We're roughly 500 spaces now, and this will push us to about 850. So we'll be able to accommodate more parking, and we haven't seen, now that people are carpooling again, we don't see as many cars, especially this season. Although we had a really good season, more skier visits than we've seen in the past several years, we didn't run out of parking. So that tells us that people are carpooling, and we have a lot of lodging guests that are skiing as well. But it is nice to pick up about close to 300 new parking spaces. So that's really important for us as we go forward.
Is the bus going back and forth?
Yeah, so on the weekends, we run the coach from Boise, Saturday, Sunday, and then every day we run the Tamarack Express, which is the new bus, and it's on the Valley County Green Line. So it does Donley, Cascade, McCall, Tamarack. So it's free to the public.
So that's helping.
It does help.
From the coach all the way from Boise to here.
We do. So that's, if you recall, it's part of our capital contribution agreement, is we provide transportation from the Treasure Valley, from Boise. So the pickups in the Home Depot parking lot, and we do charge, just to try to cover cost, and we're getting closer to covering that cost, but we've been doing that for, this is our fourth winter, so it's not inexpensive, but it is being used, and if nothing else, we put some ski instructors on it, and they get to come up and teach lessons, so.
All these townhomes, Scott, you're just doing build to sell? That's what you guys are doing?
Commissioner, that's correct. These are ones that we build and then we'll sell as developer. Currently, there's townhomes at Tamarack. We have 88 townhomes that were built originally. And so this is sort of a refreshed version, a little bit different architecture. And so 60, and it's a popular product, does well in the resort rental program. And they just do well in general. And these will be a little bit different, but we're excited to have a new offering to provide.
That will be nice. Not to have that parking lot, I had to finish my thoughts. I'm thinking about the capital contribution, so.
Yeah.
Where did we end up with on the capital? This doesn't impact it at this point, because this is still one of the other
But this is
phases?
still in that, end of that phase 3, before we move into phase 4, where the heritage is. That's southern.
So all of the, so this is the last development in that phase 3 before we
Well,
move
no,
into 4?
it's not. There's
No.
some little smaller subdivisions, like you'll be seeing Ponderosa Phase 2,
Buttercup
Buttercup.
will have 10 lots. So Ponderosa has 13, Buttercup has
So
10.
nothing that's adding a lot of density.
No.
No. So again, remember the number that we, our declining balance number, it starts at 2,043 units. So this is all within that. So I think, Cindy said we've platted 650,
I was looking for that number.
650, and
I know, it gives me
650.
heartburn when I look at it, so don't talk about it.
well, it shouldn't, because people other than us already solved this problem for us. So we have, since this new ownership group is acquired, though, with the few plats that are still working their way through the pending ones, you will have approved 142 platted units for us since acquisition in 2018. So that totaled with Cinda's number, I think, puts us close to 700 DUs, development units, off of that 2,043. So the balance of those will end up down in Heritage. Well, a lot of those end up in Heritage. 700 to 800 will end up in Heritage. We still have a lot of density, by the way, in the village. So when you look at our village master plan, village phase 1 is complete, but we've got about 350 condos that will still go in the existing village. So that's 7 or 8 or 9 more buildings. It'll take another 10 or 15 years, but we still do have development remaining in this area, but they're condo towers, so they're a little different, and they're already platted. But as far as the residential, we're almost done. I think there's 2 more plats that you'll see that deal with this, and then we're officially out of phase 3 into phase 4, which triggers some steps in our capital contribution agreement regarding the S Bridge and a few other things. So we'll obviously keep talking about that. And then I think also, I'll zip it in just a moment, but when we met a few weeks ago, I did offer to come back, I don't know if it's a public workshop or what it is, but to talk about the CID legislation, what we can do for next session, and then also some LID stuff. So I emailed Cinda and Douglas this morning just to see what your calendars look like in the next 30 or 45 days, because we do want to have that discussion. We will need that for the heritage development, and it would be great to have the commission and have all the questions answered, and then understand what we can and can't do. And we're looking at potentially an LID as well for sewer and water for heritage, like we've done on the other phases. So there's plenty to talk about. So we'd love to have that discussion soon.
I was going through, how you go by Shadow Valley Golf Course, and it says no CID tax.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, now I know what that is.
It's called a marketing tactic for those guys.
Exactly.
But Avamore does use a CID, and we put that into place 15 years ago. That underpass that's getting built, that's how they're building it, is with CID funds. So homeowners always pay for it at the end of the day. It's just a matter of you do it at the beginning or collect it in arrears. And so lots to talk about, though.
A good conversation. Thank you.
And we did find the agreement that Scott had referred to it at the last discussion we had about how they paved the entire road, and some of that was credited. So I don't think I sent it to you. I'll go ahead and send it to you. It was interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Next, we would hear from any proponents. Anyone in the room? You'll show that there were none. Testimony of uncommitted. So there were none. Testimony of opponents. There was none. Nothing to rebut. I will close the public hearing. If anything that,
Well, it was all very well explained. Cinda did very well with her explanation, and thank you, Scott, for questions there. Ready for a motion?
yep, if you don't have anything else to add.
You don't have a motion written out, do we?
No.
Okay.
Want me to do it?
Yeah, if you want.
I would move that we move forward with the PUD amendment for 98-1 and the sub-agreement. What is the SUB?
Subdivision.
Subdivision 25-004, Phase 3.6, the Aspen Townhomes, and approve the Trillium parking lot relocation and accept the conditions of approval from planning and zoning.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll make sure and show that Commissioner Caldwell abstained from the vote.
So, and since, I'll try to have facts and conclusions done by next Monday. And they will be a simplified version since there was no opposition to this.
Okay.
So that we have a final decision.
These are so much
You know,
easier.
my biggest heartburn is just the road. I mean, it's like somehow we have to put some infrastructure in place because that just scares me to death. And poor little city of Donley is just getting overran at that intersection. So we have some ideas on expansion for separate road that I would love to sit down and talk to you about.
And we're gonna put a road right across the lake. Scott and I were talking about that one, just.
Well, there are some other easements that are up right now that are available that we should all be looking at strongly to take some stuff off that intersection, so.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
That being our last action item this morning, and we will recess for lunch and see everyone back